Welcome back to the Blindsiders. I am Ben, and I'm here with Brian to talk about episode number 5 of Survivor 46. And Survivor 46, Brian. Certainly, we didn't want Hunter on here to let us know what the first 45 seasons are, but
Yeah.
all we need to know right now is this is Survivor 46. We're here to talk about the first time a tribe that isn't Yanu goes to tribal council.
Yeah. No Banu, which means Yanu can win because God doesn't hate them anymore. Well, I want to very quickly. So I think anyone listening to this will be like, oh, well, Ben and Brian, they're super fans of the show. So our opinions on this journey, I think we both agree. Very easy to us. I don't know what happened with Hunter. Not a real super fan or not the same type of super fan. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna go right off the top on the journey, to get it out of the way, because it's
Yeah,
pretty.
I think we should. I think we bill ourselves as like old school big fans of the show.
Mhm.
This was like literally like, we joked about it in our group chat with Dylan. Where was this for Brandon? Huh? Jeff?
Yeah, yeah. I seen a lot of jokes where like, oh, they found the one challenge that Hunter can't do, but Brandon Donnelly could do.
Yeah, I mean, he would have dominated this, I feel. I know he's been a super fan for years, unlike Hunter, apparently just got into it, like 10-ish years ago. So, not a great showing from Hunter on this one.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm confused. I've seen kind of mixed opinions on this. I think for a lot of people, they're like, I think your opinion on this challenge is dependent upon whether you could do it.
Right.
For the people who can't do it, they're like, "Oh, this is impossible. This is so unfair." And for the people who can do it, they're like, "This is like the easiest Survivor trivia challenge they've ever done in the show," which it is. Like
Yeah.
they've done Survivor trivia elements in past seasons. They did it in All Stars. They did it in Micronesia. There's been like it's traditionally done in All Star seasons. So that's when it makes the most flavorful sense. But this is like by far like not even close to the easiest Survivor trivia history challenge they've done. And the fact that people are pretending like it's hard is confusing to me, especially given the fact that the three of them were given like they were basically told you need to be a Survivor super fan to beat this challenge and get an advantage. Like, if you're going to bill yourself as a Survivor super fan and use that to get yourself onto the show, that's going to be a part of your persona or whatever, and you're going to commit to doing a challenge that's explicitly said to be about Survivor history for super fans to do, and you can't do like an extremely simple challenge like this, like that's on you. You fucked around, you found out, honestly.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I do feel bad for Hunter in one sense. Like, honestly, Ben, if you asked me to map new era tribe names to the season they belong to, I don't know if I could do it straight up.
Yeah. Well, I think that with tribe names, it's hard because half of the themed seasons, they use their tribe names once and they never repeat them again the entire season.
Yeah, right.
Like with David versus Goliath, like I don't even know what those. I think they do a swap and they are using the names after the swap or something.
Yeah, but I don't know what they were.
Yeah, but like when Jeff and the producers are saying, "Oh, this is the Healers tribe. This is the David tribe," or this is like the Braun tribe, right? I can even remember the Kagayan and Karan tribe names pretty well, but still, like when you're referring to the tribe names as their theme as opposed to as their name constantly, it's a lot harder to remember them.
Right. No, that's a good point too. Like, fans versus favorites, like
what? But even that, I have like Irene Malcolm. You have
McCall and Goda, right, from the second one. But you know what? Those are printed on the buff, so that's really where they went wrong. They stopped printing pre-merge tribe names on the buff, which side tangent for buff talk for a sec. I hated that. That was my least favorite design element that they chose to do. And I'm glad they went away from it because it looked bad in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's also like this is like snooty superfan talk right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think before this episode that I was like a superfan elitist, because like I think the superfan tag is dumb, and it's like it's meaningless basically.
Right.
As we saw in this episode, it's meaningless. Like and people just define it different ways. But I do think people complaining that this challenge was unfair or too hard are dumb.
I agree. Yeah. So Hunter, he failed us. It was very disappointing to see. I mean, it's just like, and maybe because I grew up watching the show, so like I have very vivid memories of like where I was in life when various seasons were airing. That does help, I feel like, compared to just binging it all, for sure. But I don't know. It seemed like comically easy, and then he like really biffed it super hard.
Yeah. I think like I don't know if he just hasn't seen all the seasons, because like from what I could barely follow what he was doing, which is kind of my issue with the challenge, was it wasn't really like TV friendly. Like I couldn't really tell where he was putting things.
We didn't even have a Big Brother thing where it'd like be like and show us where he got it wrong. So
yeah, no big red X's with the sound effects from like the BB Comics or something.
I appreciate that in BB Comics though. I would have appreciated it here.
Yeah, but I did notice him putting Guatemala pre All-Stars.
Not great.
Which definitely to me signals like I have never seen Survivor Guatemala, because it doesn't even logically make sense given that like Stephanie and Bobby John are on the season.
Yeah, right. Yeah, put it before Palau. That's good.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, and then there's a couple things he said that were like not true. I think like I was like only half following. I think he said something about like, I think he mixed up Micronesia and Caramoan in his head, and he also like didn't know who won HVV, which is like very confusing. So yeah, I don't think that Hunter is actually a super fan.
No, I don't think so either. Sorry, Hunter. It's revoked. The challenges he built look great. Like, won't take that away from him. But and we also talked like probably the more you would excel at this challenge, the less you would excel on regular challenges. So we would probably not do great at regular challenges. I think we accept that, and this is all we got.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like I'm good at puzzles, so I could
true.
do puzzles. Like I feel like on Survivor, all you have to do is be like marginally fit and be like good enough at puzzles and like good at like carnival games. So I don't know. I think I could do well at Survivor challenges. Like obviously, like the heavy strength ones or like heavy like endurance ones, maybe not. But like the obstacle course into puzzle or carnival game ones, I don't see it. I think 80 to 90% of people can do those.
I am just way too out of shape these days to do
That's
it.
fair.
I don't want to be like Brandon out there. I don't want to, don't force me out there right now, Jeff. Give me some time to train.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I wanted to get that out of the way just because like it was a big talking point online, and like being Survivor history nerds is kind of like our thing on here. So like, yes, we both think we would have killed that, even on no sleep and like no food. In fact, like what did you say in our group chat?
I said you could put me in a 10-month coma, and the second I woke up, ask me to name every Survivor season in order, and I would do it without even thinking.
Yeah, I was thinking too, like if there's ever a moment where you think like I've been replaced by a spy or a clone, just ask me Survivor trivia. I will know. Someone replaced me wouldn't know,
Yeah.
Ask me to put the seasons in order.
Yeah.
But interesting. He loses his vote, so could be big next week. I guess we'll see.
Yes. The other thing from that journey that is relevant, I guess, leading into this upcoming merge is, we have these three big guys, like the like challenge strength guys from each of the tribes, and they're like, hey, we're the guys who get voted out right at the start of the merge usually. Not really true anymore. Again,
yes. Was it like
maybe 10 years ago?
Like most of the time lately, the first merge boot is like,
yeah.
Well, someone you would just not think traditional, but it's been like pretty consistent in the new era.
Yeah, it's actually more often than not been like less athletic women that have been voted out in that spot in recent seasons. It's kind of flipped on itself, and part of it is, I think, the post-Cambodia meat shield strategy that Venus elucidated to Hunter's face in this episode. But yeah, so they're like, hey, let's try to keep out an eye for each other. We each bring in a +1 at 6 votes out of 13. Definitely 6 and 13 is a majority. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I do Brad Culpepper proud. This math, like, this is the true meeting of the minds here.
Yeah, don't think about it too hard. It's definitely a majority.
Yeah, I think I got kind of upset. Was it last season or the beginning of this season where like the Survivor social media would post stuff out of context? It would kind of like reveal. So this week they posted Sierra and Taj on Exile Island talking about the Exile Island Alliance. And I was like, why would they do that? And then, okay, this scene is why they did that.
Well, is that even further spoilers for how it's going to play out, where it doesn't actually...
It's not going to work out.
It comes into play exactly 0 times post-merge, and it's completely forgotten about and ignored in the edit, as if it never happened.
I think probably yes.
Yeah.
Because especially like yes, Hunter probably has Tevin. Sure. Q has Tiff. Okay. I don't think Tim has Mariah. Like, maybe he really likes her, but I don't think she necessarily feels the same way.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that, we finally see Siga go to a tribal this episode, and I think the way that the structure of that tribe is set up is pretty clear at this point. And with, as we saw, Maria uses her extra vote. So, like,
I say Mariah.
Yeah, you said Mariah, but I knew you meant Maria. But it is confusing because there is also a Mariah on the same tribe.
Yep.
Oh my God. But Maria is going to use her extra vote here. So like his reasoning for bringing Maria in is like, yeah, she has an extra vote, so that'll help us. Well, right anymore.
Yeah, we'll get to that. This new era, like, this don't appreciate the extra vote or maybe understand it at all, or what's it's possible, or maybe she intentionally burned it. We'll get to it.
I mean, if she did, she's probably going to lose her spot in this bro alliance to Ben, who now has his vote back.
Right. Yeah. So I thought, the Exile or whatever, the Journey Alliance. I don't know what we're calling it.
It doesn't matter. We're never going to talk about it again.
Right. It's over after this episode, but it just doesn't feel like it's going to go anywhere for them. I think it was a fun story to see Yanu finally win. I do appreciate that Jeff Probst is being mean again. I think we need that. I'm so split on Jeff because like I'll like see the stuff he does in the episode. I'm like, love it. This is the Jeff I want. And I'll see him talk about Survivor, and it's like, man, I wish he never became a producer on this show. Like, he's such a good host, and he's such a horrible producer.
Yeah, I think I feel like that's kind of the common. I think that's the the accepted opinion. I don't think you're saying anything particularly crazy. I think everyone pretty much agrees. Good host, bad producer.
It's like insane, man. Like this stuff he says is like he actively has Survivor's worst interest at heart. Like he's trying to kill the show. I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You know, I think that so far it hasn't been that bad this season for me. You know, we'll see somebody go home with an idol. So we're going into the merge with only one idol, maybe two if Hunter. Okay, this is something that annoyed me. We're now pretending like I know that Bree did it with Bruce last season, but you know I thought it was going to be different with the rules for the Beware advantage this season. Hunter's like, okay, so my tribe has to lose in order for me to be able to use this Beware advantage and get an idol and get my vote back. But wait, there's a stipulation at the bottom here that says if we never lose, then I'll still have a chance to get it. And I'm like,
I do think
that completely ruins the whole point of it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah. I do think Gemma's said the same thing. So, like, I guess, especially about you're right. It's like the point is that you have to lose to get it.
Yeah,
and you have to put yourself at risk of a tribal council.
If there's no need to lose pre-merge in order to get the advantage, or to get the idol in this case, then what is the point of that stipulation at all? Because like other than it only gives you an extremely small window of time to get it, you know, between losing the immunity and the tribal council, like you'll have probably like a 6-hour window or whatever. It really didn't matter in either case that we've seen it. Like both Tiffany and Jem find it seemingly within like a couple hours and have plenty of time before the tribal council. So like it just seems like the stipulation is totally unnecessary if you're going to give it to somebody like Hunter anyways.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree there. So I guess he'll probably get it anyways, and that'll be that. So we won't have a vote, but I'll have an idol. Well, yeah, because he wouldn't have had. Do they stack? Did we ever find that out?
Do what stack?
Like, say he lost his vote during the tournament. And then if he wasn't going to get his vote back because he didn't lose, I wonder if they would stack. Not that it matters because, you know, he was going to get his vote back for the idol anyways. But
I think, well, I mean, how did it stack? Because you can't lose 2 votes.
Yeah, well, you lose your vote if you survive the tribal council the next time.
You mean, okay, I see what you mean. So like if the pre-merge were to go on for like 2 or 3 more rounds, would he lose his vote for the first vote that he otherwise would have had one after finding the idol with the Beware advantage?
Right, because he's still in vote debt right now.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it will matter ever in this case because everyone is just immediately finding the idol regardless. So yeah. Probably just gonna in this case just lose his vote for the first merge vote and be fine.
Right. Also, do you remember when Chris Noble lost his vote and he had a piece of parchment that said no vote on it? I kind of prefer that to the sit back down thing.
Well,
but
it's easier to read, you know, very quickly.
Yeah.
And, you know, I like less reading, so I agree with that.
Yeah, and he's like holding it up and he's still doing confessional, but like he doesn't have a vote. It's fun. I don't know. It's campy. So Chris Noble, what a legend. Didn't vote the whole game until final tribal council.
Yep. He's the first guy. He's like he sets a standard for like this new era, you know, people getting voted out without ever casting a vote. He was the first one to do it.
And it was great too, because like he won an idol and then he pushed his luck and lost it. So he wasn't voting, and he could have and his idol was only good for the tribal council he got voted out at.
Yep.
And he didn't play it. Maybe it was one more. But like it was a very limited idol, and he didn't play it, and he just got voted off. Anyways, he's such a king for that, honestly. Just such a himbo. Like, I love him.
Yeah, people getting voted out with idols in their pockets. Definitely something that does not happen anymore.
Right.
People have certainly learned, right?
It's just especially bad when it's a limited time idol.
Yeah.
You know, Yes, Vince, right, on Island of the Idols also went out with the limited time idol in his
Yeah, there's a lot of
pocket.
hubris involved in that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like mega hubris. It's beyond the normal amount. Like, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Anyways, I said we weren't going to go on a lot of tangents before we started recording, and yet here we are. You knew though.
I know.
You're like, I don't know about that.
Brian was like, 20 minutes in and out. I'm like, nah, we're gonna go on 17 different tangents.
Yep. But yeah, so Yanu, very happy for them. They got food, they got fire. This is great. But Ben, I gotta say, I think at this point, going on Survivor, like before, it's like you have to learn how to make fire with flint. That's very important. Now, you have to learn how to make fire by rubbing sticks together or the Yao Man method. You have to. Like, you cannot allow yourself to be on a tribe that snowballs down when it's not gonna change,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could pull I think it was like Dale Wentworth, right? Where he faked having an astigmatism to get glasses he didn't need so he could break them on the island and use them to make.
You have to do it. You have to go if you're like I'm pretty sure the Survivor 45 or 47 people are either way too deep into it now for it won't matter or like they're already left to go film. 46 people, if you're listening, go into your backyard or go to Home Depot, get 2 pieces of wood and rub them together until you make fire.
Yeah, I mean, you just look up what is it, the fire bow, right? You twist a spindle around the bow, and then you go with a rock or whatever, or a piece of wood on top like this, and then a little piece of wood here with a hole in it, and then you have the tinder underneath, and then it's just like the friction creates little pieces. Yeah, it's not. I've never done it without flint. I've made fire with flint, but I've never made fire without flint. And I've obviously made fire, with lighters and stuff and matches when camping. But the most I've done for Survivor preparation has been making Survivor with flint, which is
you don't have to worry about this.
Yeah, which is I think it's not as hard as it's made out to be.
People make it really hard for themselves.
Yeah, it's not that hard when you know how it works. But yeah, I think that
off-season live stream of trying to make fire with just wood, so then people can be like, "See, not so easy, is it?"
Oh well, I definitely think that making fire without flint is hard. Like with rubbing with the fire bow or with just rubbing sticks together. Like that definitely seems hard. I'm just saying that it's overplayed how hard making fire with flint is.
Yeah, and I think you're gonna get there. Listen, you don't know how to build a shelter. Your shelter gonna be horrible. You're gonna get your nerves pinched. You're gonna wake up with back pain. So don't worry about it. Sleep on the beach, and the second you get to the tribe, camp, start trying to make fire. If you don't have flint, honestly, fuck the sweater savvy challenge too. You're probably not going to be able to do the sweat challenge anyways.
Well, the trick is you send your sacrificial lambs out to do the sweat if you have to do the sweat. Otherwise, you should do the savvy because the savvy seems like generally been easier, except for the one time last season where they gave them an impossible one.
Right.
But the savvy this season was miles easier than the sweat and definitely doable if you got a competent person with a normal amount of experience with word search puzzles. Just don't wear yourself out. Either knock out the savvy quick, send 2 losers to go lose at sweat, or go start making fire with sticks.
Yeah, I just think it's the move. Fire is so important. Not just for the water. Whatever, I'm pretty sure it's just a well now, or not even. It's probably a trash can that they fill with, water that you have at an office, But so you're gonna be fine from that perspective, but like it definitely wears on you being cold and tired and hungry. It's so I don't know. The fire is really important these days.
Yeah, I think most people agree from what I've seen after Survivor that the cold is the hardest part, and like the like being cold and being wet are like the two things you really can't mentally prepare for.
Yeah,
like you can prepare for not sleeping, you can prepare for not eating. Like those are things that like those are experiences that most people have had in their life, and so like everyone knows what it's like to be awake for 36 hours or to like have not eaten all day, and you can extrapolate that forward into like being really hungry or really tired. But the experience of being cold and wet 24/7 is not something that most people have experienced.
Yeah, and like the wet especially is probably just really tough to deal with. But yeah, I mean, like unless you're in really unfortunate circumstances where you can't afford heat or you like don't have a home, where you're just probably not going to encounter that level of cold in normal life. So I don't know. That's my little rant for all future Survivor players. Please just learn how to make fire without flint.
Yeah, and also it'll make for a good scene where Jeff has like a Pikachu face where he's like, I'm sure you want your flint back, and you're like, no, we have fire. I mean, it's pretty easy. And he's just like,
right.
My charade has been thwarted.
He starts taking out his little knife.
Yeah.
Like, no, Jeff.
He gets on a walkie-talkie. He's like, get the fire hose.
Yeah. And I have was it Jane in Nicaragua who dumped on the fire. And just have her come out of the woods, dump the fire for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's actually a good point. That would be really. There's so many different people that you could get. Like they've invited past players to do these like weird cameo things. Like they did the thing with Cochran, as we always talk about. Like next time Jeff is doing his like stab the bag of rice, why don't you bring Chatia out there and then he can like hold the bag of rice over the fire and then like slowly dump it in the fire as they're deciding. Like
that'd be great.
Better than stabbing with a knife, and stabbing with a knife is already pretty good.
Yes. Yeah, Chatia, that'd be awesome. Brandon Hans, if you're getting rid of beans, can have him out there and yell about how he's the master of his own fate. It'd be good. Oh man, I think what else? I'm trying to think. There wasn't much from Orange Tribe other than Hunter's Idol stuff, right? Like
and it was just like the awkward Venus Hunter conversation that we referenced earlier, where Venus is like, yeah, everyone is probably going to want to vote you out because you're such a huge physical threat, but I want to keep you around because you're like a meat shield.
Yeah, which I guess is nice.
See, this is the same idea as like telling somebody they're your Philip Shepard, but like when you're doing it to somebody like Hunter, who is like aware of what's going on, and not somebody like Banu who is like in his own universe, it definitely doesn't come off as well.
Yeah, I was thinking too. Has there ever been a person who's gonna flip on her tribe more than Venus? Like she's out.
Mariah now.
Maybe, yeah, they'll flip each other. I think like if either of the other two tribes are the least bit nice to Venus will 100% just go with them. And why not?
Yeah. I mean, we try not to read too deep into the previews because they're generally misleading. As we saw this episode, we had a preview of like Q being like, I want to quit. And then this episode, he was like, I want to quit. JK, that's just me messing with Kenzie to make her feel comfortable so that we can blindside her if we have to. But we already have in the preview, I think it was Q and Tiffany talking about how Venus is like, kind of going off the rails. So,
not surprising.
Yeah, maybe we have like maybe we have an Ellie situation here with Venus, which would be disappointing. I think that would be. I want Venus to go farther. So I hope she's not the Ellie spot.
Right. No, same. As big of a move that was for Gabler, I don't know.
Game-changing move.
Yeah.
$1 million.
It honestly did. Unironically, he willed it into winning him $1 million by virtue of just repeating it so many times and the jury wanting any reason to vote for him.
Yeah.
He donated it all, so it is what it is. Yeah, I think let's talk about Gem here. Unfortunately, well, I guess we can talk about the immunity challenge a little just from the, some fun editing here. Reminiscent, of course, of Philippines, where they did the slow-mo for Matt Singh losing in this spot, but they did the slow-mo for Yanu winning, which is, very fun.
Yeah, and they also, I think, did a similar thing in 41, where you had, or was it 41? Yeah, it was 41 with, I think, with Shannon Ricard also losing their final one.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas a slow-mo shot, very similar. It was like the same one with the slingshot, very similar slow-mo shot that Q had, but it missed instead of with Q it hit.
Yeah, and it was really iconic in the Philippines because they were throwing like balls at pots, and it missed, and then it came back and broke it. I was like, oh, that's so heartbreaking.
And you see, Russell Swan's face in the background of, Malcolm is like, throws the thing, and then Russell Swan picks up the pot and smashes it.
Yeah. God, what a season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that. I was happy for them. I genuinely was like happy for the three of them because like that would suck to be out there and to just lose and lose and lose like that.
Yeah, I mean, in this case too, we also had our season 46 version of Malcolm and Denise lose the same challenge in a slow-mo way. So maybe we can, it probably would have made more sense if like the other person involved in the challenge, who was Tim, was voted out, like Russell Swan was voted out, and that didn't happen. So the comparison ends there, but.
Oh man, but yeah, I thought very very exciting there. But yeah, Gem. I mean, she just played herself out for no reason. It feels like, right?
Yeah, what we talked about last week with her fake idol shenanigans about how that was like too cute. I think we all agreed that was too cute. It was good TV, but bad gameplay. And then her bad gameplay just kind of continued this episode.
Yeah.
Where, I think people on winning tribes and in supposedly winning positions sometimes get too antsy to be like smarter than everybody else, or like to cover every single base. And often on Survivor, you can only cover one base and cover it really well. And if you make the decision to leave that base to go try to cover every base in the game, all you're doing is like allowing all the bases to not be covered.
Yeah. So like she comes up with the lie to protect herself that Tim's the one with the idol. Okay, fine. You don't need to do that, but okay. But then because she did it, now she has to go with that lie and put the target on Ben, and Charlie doesn't want that. So this ends her game, right? Like I'm not wrong here, right, Ben? Like she did it to herself.
Yeah, and then on top of that, going to Ben and Tim individually and trying to like pitch this like backup plan strategy. It's like if you're going to do that, it's too late. Like you're already too late to pull that kind of a play. You can't do that, the day of tribal council. You have to have done that days before, like Maria and Charlie have done, where they have set out kind of multiple paths forward. You can't like do this weird decoy thing as like you can't set up a decoy plan when the decoy plan logically should be you.
Right.
Yeah, I think she didn't really understand, I guess, the true nature of the tribe dynamics enough to realize that was what was going to happen, and like massively overplayed her hand.
Right. Yeah. No, I just felt a little bad for her, but you know what? I did enjoy how everybody played hard this round, and like I didn't feel like their answers were the usual annoyingness. It had a little bit of like the like, oh, you know, survivors like this that we've made fun of, and you know, I clipped that on the We Could Get Everything channel if you want to see that. But it did come to a point where it's like, okay, let's all just be honest here. Some of you are bullshitting, some of you, and you don't know who is and who isn't for sure. But like, you know, you're not a big happy family like you're trying to portray yourself. Like this is about to, you know, get ugly for one of you.
Yeah, and it definitely was a point, I think, when Maria made her answer where, you know, people shifted from being like, you know, coy to like being like, yeah, we're all being coy, and that's like a strategy that we're all doing, and we're all aware of it. You know, we went one level up. Where instead of everyone just pretending, it was like, okay, we know everyone's pretending, but we're going to pretend like we don't know that everyone's pretending because, you know, it's you know, it doesn't serve us to, you know, be paranoid and to be like, I don't know what's going on, because that's, you know.
Yeah, so I respect that a little anyways. Like, okay, that's, you know, refreshing.
Yeah, if you're not going to be honest, at least be honest about being dishonest.
Right.
Yeah. I thought Maria and Charlie both explained it kind of very well. Charlie, like with the, you know, we have this this vibe tribe, you know, situation, and after this, like, we're gonna find out if it was just like a mask we were all putting on, and that mask is just off permanently now.
And I think, you know, we've talked about it before, but you know, I want to reiterate, I think it's good that they got to vote someone off and they got to show each other that, like, you know, what I say, I do. I trust you. Like, we can trust each other with a little bit more than Nami can trust each other right now.
Yeah, except for Mariah, who was blindsided and probably really annoyed.
Yeah, right. Why'd they do that? They could have just brought her in, I feel like, and just been like, hey, literally everyone's just voting for Gem, so just like vote for Gem, and you're gonna make the merge, so just do it.
Sure, but I think that like there isn't a chance that Mariah tells Gem, like, you know, hey, it's gonna be you, and then Gem plays her idol, and then the whole thing is messed up.
That's
maybe
true.
Maybe not something you want to. Like, that's kind of the fine line with all these advantages and idols you have to walk, which is, you know, is the social ramifications of blindsiding people better or worse than the potential of your blindside being messed up with idols and advantages if you tell too many people.
Yeah, because I mean, and this is obviously a different era. This is season 20 for Hunter out there. Sandra at the first tribal council for the villains was literally like, I don't care who it is, but we all have to agree on who it is. And I've just like really thought, like, that's just such, like, it seems so obvious, but it's not obvious, but it's such a good mentality to have. Like, at least for one vote, let's pretend we're a cohesive unit, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's like, you know, that's like the Kasaya, you know, of it all as well. Where, you know, in order to play Survivor with somebody, you don't have to like them all the time, or you don't have to like vibe with them socially necessarily. As long as your interests align in the short term, you know, you can make things work. I think that's become more and more the like the meta of Survivor in recent years, like the last like 5 to 10 years, where it's like, hey, I don't have to like this person or like want to work with them long term, but if we can have our interests align in the short term, then we got something working. And this was like in Millennials versus Gen X. This was a big thing.
Yeah, it was.
how that strategy in the post merge especially played out.
Mm.
Like the Vanessa Russo and Big Brother 17 style, like incentives, like, if you understand somebody's incentives, you can understand how to like convince them of something and get them on the same page as you.
At least with Vanessa's situation, Big Brother is a lot more fluid game if you're playing it like a fluid game.
Yeah.
Where like things can change and like, hey, I'm voting you off, but it's only because you got into a bad situation and like, there's only one other option, and I don't want to vote them off.
Yeah.
So. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. Merge next week. A lot of moving parts, so I think it's going to be a good episode. I hope.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, obviously we have presumably the Murgatory, however it's pronounced, and that could make a potentially interesting vote into a more boring, straightforward vote, as it has in the past, where people are just like, okay, we're the anybody but me. Let's all just get on the same page. Style strategy does make a lot more sense, but I mean, we'll see.
Yeah. Preemptive congratulations to who's ever on a Hunter's team. In that challenge, you made the merge. This is huge.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any predictions, I guess, for who's gone next week in the Murgatory spot?
You brought up Venus. I think there's a legit chance that happens. Liz, just because I feel like we haven't gotten a ton from Liz. Mm-hmm. Soda, if Venus like jumps and is like, I'm 100%. I hate my tribe. Let's vote off Soda.
Yeah, in the preview there was some like Liz versus Soda stuff as well, so like maybe that becomes a thing. I could also
I just feel like Soda has not gotten any like anything. I don't know her like well at all.
So yeah, I mean, even on this with Iga, I feel like I only got Jem and Charlie's like kind of perspective on things.
Right.
Like even where like Maria and Charlie were making the decision, it seemed like 90% of the focus was on Charlie, which makes sense. I mean, he's the one who got his way and like is probably in the best spot coming on that tribe coming into the merge, and probably in one of the better spots in the season, honestly. So yeah, I guess from that perspective, it does make sense. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where Mariah is gonna go. Like maybe she's an easy consensus. If like she doesn't get like a flip off, or if Siga doesn't handle her well, or she doesn't handle the situation well, I could see potentially, if there's if more than one Yanu people are vulnerable, I could see like Q and Tiffany like offering up Kenzie as like a sacrifice to try to get themselves further. I think that's possible. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it should be interesting. It should be a fun episode. I do hate Murgatory, but whatever. Well,
yeah,
it doesn't matter what I think. Jeff Probst has made that very clear.
Yeah. So you want to talk more about Maria using her extra vote, or you think we covered as much as we needed to?
Oh, yeah. Dumb. No point. Only point is to maybe burn it so that Tevin can't be like, we should vote this person off because I know they have an extra vote, even though also I have an extra vote from the same situation. It just felt like a waste to me, especially, it was the 2 votes for the same person as well. So it wasn't even like safeguarding against an idol. I was just still throwing it. The only thing that was somewhat interesting was she did different handwriting for both.
Okay. Yeah, which makes me think it wasn't her trying to burn it, because like if she was trying to burn it, wouldn't she want to make it obvious that she was voting twice?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Mathematically, it doesn't make sense. There's like pretty much no scenario where the 1 vote wasn't enough. Yeah. And even if it wasn't enough, and like Ben went home, like you have like a social snafu, but like it's not like you're in any danger or Charlie's in any danger. Like, why do you care?
Right. I don't know, Ben. I can't come up with a reason for it. And last time, like, I tried to say that this was dumb and you agreed with me, everyone online was like gaslighting us, I feel like, into being like, no, it was so smart to waste your extra vote for no reason.
Yeah, I'm also seeing that as well a lot, where people are like, yeah, this was super smart. Like, wow, what a genius Maria is. And it's like, okay, I like Maria, and like I think she's playing well, but like we don't have to pretend like everything she does is perfect. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I feel like that does happen though, where people are just like, "Oh yes, go! This is amazing."
Yeah, and I saw people like, "Oh, well, like they might have thought that both Ben and Tim had lost their votes, and she didn't want to get Jenny." And it's like, okay, but like in that circumstance, it would be 2-2, and then on a revote, the only people who would be voting would be Mariah, Maria, and Charlie, and they could vote out Jem 2-1, because like Jem wouldn't be able to vote because she'd be part of the tie, and Ben wouldn't vote regardless because he was part of the tie, and also because he didn't have his vote, so they would have the advantage in the revote there anyways. So like you only needed 2 votes to win the night. So like
it's like, yeah, people like thinking like, oh, maybe this is the extra context of strategy, but then not taking it the one step further of like,
yeah. It literally only makes sense if like Charlie, Ben, and Tim all died.
Yeah,
right. It's like if like Charlie like tripped and fell on his way to voting and like broke himself and like ended up needing to be medevaced. Like this is the only way it made sense. If he like fell into the fire after she had already voted,
right?
Like there was no logical reason for it to make it. It was like, yeah, I don't know. I can't rationalize it at all. I can come up with zero rationalization for it.
Yep. Yeah.
And again, even if she wanted to burn it, it didn't make sense to like go the extra mile of writing in 2 different handwritings, because if you want to burn it, the whole point is to make everyone know that you burnt it.
Yeah. To like one, like number it 1 and 2.
Yeah.
These legitimately were sign your name. These were my votes. Yeah, I don't understand. I feel like sometimes the cast forgets that like these extra votes only gain power the longer you're in the game with them. Like they're pretty important at a certain point. We've just never seen extra votes be executed well. Like which is surprising because you would think by now we would have at least once.
No, most of the time people waste them and use them in like extremely marginal situations where it increases their odds of like not getting screwed over by like 0.5% or something.
Right.
And like rather than save it to the final 6 where you could potentially use it to win the night with only 3 people instead of 4.
Yeah. Oh well, I guess we'll see if Tevin can do any better.
Yeah, split tribals as well, really useful.
Yeah, very useful. Except like thinking that like Kellen and Shan, right? Those are split tribals, and they both wasted theirs for that had no effect on the outcome.
Yep.
Of it. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think the split tribals when it's 5 people, it's not really useful. Split tribals when it's 6 people, it's a little bit more useful. But then you have situations where a lot of the recent split tribals have been like kind of obvious boots, right. Or like X1 blindsides where there was really no maneuvering. So
yeah, I think best case scenario is what you said. A making an even round and odd round, and then marginal like okay use is using it to block an idol, and then or a shot in the dark, contingency vote, and then anything else is just like wasting it, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think like in this case, I was trying to come up with a situation where it made sense for it right now, and it still doesn't make sense. The example that even came in my mind where it would have made sense for you, that still doesn't make sense. So never mind. It was
like,
bad.
And like within that idol, subsection is like you're 3 and 2, and the 2 people might have an idol, so you split 4 2, like 222.
Yep.
That, those are really the only, like, okay, you just use it because it like is helping you in like a safe break in case of emergency sense.
Well, like in this case, right? If they had used, because they had 4 and 2, right, with the extra vote. If they had used 2 of those 4 and put them on Mariah to try to play around Jem having an idol, which she did, theoretically she could have played it and screwed this whole thing up when they had the votes to put the votes. That would have made sense. Doing it that way and using the extra vote for that would have been a valid use of it. But that's not what they did.
Right. Yeah. Maybe if Ben had his vote, they would have thought about it. I don't know.
But even still, they had 4 and 2. Like, as long as they're believing that Tim didn't lose his vote at the Journey. But, yeah. I don't know.
Oh man. But All Girls Alliance once again immediately doesn't work.
Yeah. Future Tims who think that All Girls Alliances are a thing. Take note once again, they don't work. They've never worked.
And maybe even more importantly, future women who get approached to be an all girls alliance say yes and then immediately plot to be the one who screws it up because one of the other 2 or 3 will.
Some minor spoilers for BB Can 12, but there was a women's alliance on that season as well that's currently airing. First 2 evictees in that season, both women. They fell apart immediately.
It's just how it goes. I don't know.
They don't work. The only time it's ever worked is Micronesia and Blackwater Brigade. It's the one counter example. Other than in seasons where there was a gender divide with the tribes, and in those cases it was more tribal lines than gender lines, and it just so happened to be in those cases the gender lines in the tribal
and even one time it didn't work.
Yeah.
Even one time the one guy still screwed it all up.
Yeah, I'm mostly talking about One World in this case. So really the only case where it made actually mattered. So yeah, but like in One World, the alliance was not a women's alliance. It was an alliance based off of the tribal lines from the original tribe, which happened to be an all-women's tribe.
And it was also one tribe, one of the greatest winners of all time was the leader, and the other tribe had Chorzan as the leader. So
yeah,
it was never going to happen.
Yeah. So
man.
Future survivors, women's alliances. If you're worried about them, don't be. If you're approached by them, just be aware that it's probably a fool's errand, and then you're going to get yelled at online by people who are mad that it fell apart. That's what happens every time.
Yeah, because if you agree to it and then you back out, people will be extra mad. So just like immediately be like, I'm not doing this to the confessionals, not to the players, obviously, but in confessionals be like, it's an interesting offer, but I'm gonna have to decline. Thanks.
Yeah.
So I guess anything else for this one?
No, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting pre-merge. I saw somebody say something along the lines of like, this pre-merge had the worst set of Survivor players that they've seen in years, which I could agree with.
Okay.
I think like other than Randon, who obviously got medevaced, the four of them that got voted out all seemed like pretty horrifically bad Survivor players. So I would tend to agree with that. I don't think that's not hyperbolic.
Yeah. What are they even talking about at Ponderosa? On an eclectic group.
Yeah. Yep.
I guess we'll see the next 2 who don't make the jury. We'll see how eclectic this group can get.
Yeah, when Jelinski is the Baron of Ponderosa for the first half. I don't know.
Baron of Ponderosa.
Yeah, well, I don't want to call him because usually it's the mayor.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like you should have to make the jury in order to get that title. So I think Baron is like appropriately stepped down.
I don't know. I just thought from Dune. My mistakes. My Ponderosa. Sorry, just yeah. This is the most recent pop culture thing that I've heard Baron be used in.
Mhm.
Oh man. Anyway,
Loki would do well, in the
Mm.
Doom universe. I think. Yeah.
You think so? You would do?
I think he would.
Yeah. He's no Paul Atreides. Yeah, you guys know. Fucking- I've talked a lot today. I'm ready to. I'm ready
Yeah,
to.
we promised 20 to 30 minutes, and we're almost hitting the hour mark as we do every week.
Yep.
Let's wrap this up.
All right. Well, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Nope. I've deleted most of my social media because I fucking hate it. And yeah, you can find me on it. I almost tweeted out some like real passive aggressive shit about how like Hunter's a fake super fan or whatever. But I decided against it because yeah.
What's the point?
Yeah, what's the point?
You know,
you get down with pussy and bio and my replies.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad. I was trying to think of a pun I could make off of one of the Survivor season's names and put that in bio, but nothing really sprang to mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at the Fake BMR. BMARR channel is on Twitter at WickedGood or at WG Everything. Instagram Wicked Everything. Twitch at twitch.tv/Wicked Everything. I was doing some Helldivers streams, and then Helldivers updated and decided to use straight up 90% of my CPU every time I try to run it. So that's not happening right now until it gets fixed, or I finally figure out how to set up the 2 computer stream that's like I've been like I'm gonna get to it eventually for years now and never have. Because yeah, I don't know. Love Helldivers, but oh boy, lots of it's a small team. I'll say it's a small team, small development team. But when there are problems, they're like catastrophic problems, which is no fun. I just want to defend democracy, man. You know.
Yeah, gotta kill the bugs. You know.
Kill the bugs.
My knowledge of Helldivers is like it's Starship Troopers. That's all I know about it. Right?
Yeah, it's Starship Troopers, exactly.
Yeah. One of my favorite movies. So.
I mean, yeah, it's so good. Yeah, so I'll figure out something else to stream there. I'm very interested in this Marvel Overwatch game that's coming out. I'm gonna try to get into the alpha for that and see if it's any good. Yeah, other than that, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.